NASCAR's new playoff format has opened the doors for anyone to have a shot at the championship. Underdog drivers like Michael McDowell, AJ Allmendinger, or Chris Buescher in 2016 would never have had a shot at winning the championship if it weren't for the new playoff format. One thing the format took away was points battles. Sometimes these would last all season and come down to the final few races. The new NASCAR playoffs result in the points resetting after every round and basically wiping out points from the regular season aside from stage points. Today we're going to look at some of NASCAR's most famous points battles. The 1992 NASCAR season was full of headlines. The new Generation 4 stock car was introduced, and Richard Petty announced it would be his last season in NASCAR. Davey Allison scored the win in the 1992 Daytona 500, but Bill Elliott would quickly steal the show, winning 4 races in a row after the 500. In the 5th race of the season, Alan Kulwicki picked up the win at Bristol, which was only his 4th career win in his 7th year at the Winston Cup level.
He was the 1986 Winston Cup Rookie of the Year. He's in turn number 3, now in turn number 4. The Ford win streak continues. Bill Elliott's streak is broken. Alan Kulwicki wins the Food City 500.
The rest of the season was a battle between the three of them, with Davey Allison having a more up-and-down year with 5 wins, while Elliott and Kulwicki were more consistent. Going into Atlanta, Elliott would not win a race after his 4P, and Kulwicki would only have 2 wins heading into the season finale. Although these 3 drivers would lead the standings, there were 6 drivers that had a mathematical chance to win the championship. Allison had a slight edge over Kulwicki and Elliott, but the other drivers weren't far behind. Harry Gant, Kyle Petty, and Mark Martin only reached victory lane 1 time, but consistency kept them in the championship hunt. The hard, grueling season of 1992 came down to 1 race. All 3 championship contenders started farther in the back, but made their way near the top 10. The first issue happened to Alan Kulwicki, who stalled his car out during a green flag pit stop on lap 60.
Watching the halfway crew now, right side, tires already going on, left side lug nuts coming off. They have fueled the car. They have yet to work on that body damage on the left rear of the Hamlin car. Meanwhile, Alan Kulwicki cannot get his car in gear 5, gets in gear car number 11, exit pit road, that is the Budweiser car for Elliott, and now Davey Allison heads back to turn 1.
A caution came out before Kulwicki's pit stop, trapping the field a lap down. Kulwicki lucked out and ended up starting second on the restart. On lap 85, Elliott would find himself in a battle between himself and Kulwicki. Martin would run the 2 of them down and take the lead.
Look at Martin. Look at his come up on these 2. Wow. They've got to feel suffering. When he came up behind Kulwicki, got Allen just a little bit loose. Kulwicki had to squeeze out the gas. He's trying it one more time.
Watch them go high.
Oh,
3 wide and 4. Martin may have the lead.
let's see. Here he comes.
Nope. Elliott led at the line. What is your call for being on the lead lap?
Watch Mark go by Bill Elliott and take the lead. Is he in the lead? Yes.
Martin would capitalize on the 3-car battle, but Elliott would still end up out front. On lap 210, Kulwicki passed Elliott. This meant that Elliott, Kulwicki, Allison, and Martin collected 5 bonus points for leading a lap, eliminating Harry Gant and Kyle Petty from the championship hunt. On lap 254, Allison would find himself in 6th, still in the championship hunt, until disaster struck.
Oh, crash! Davey Allison is in the crash, Bob.
Ernie Irvin, and it's all over for Davey
No,
Allison.
it's not over yet. I don't think he hit him that hard, maybe.
Well, he hit pretty well, I think.
He's got a lot of damage to the right side of the car.
Ernie Irvin spinning, coming off of corner number 4.
Davey has got his car moving.
Yeah, he's trying to pull away,
But he can't steer it.
but it won't turn.
It won't turn. The right front will not work.
Kulwicki still had the lead, and his team decided their best bet at winning the championship was to lead as many laps as they could. By doing this, they would earn 5 more bonus points for leading the most laps in the race. After the strategy cycled through, Elliott would end up out front. Despite winning the race, Elliott would not end up the champion. Kulwicki's team played the strategy out correctly and finished second, but would win the championship by 10 points.
We are not following the leader of the race. We are focused in on Alan Kulwicki, who is going to win the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup and the $1 million bonus that goes with it. Bill Elliott comes off the 4th corner. He wins the Hooters 500. But Alan Kulwicki is coming off of corner number 4, knowing that he's winning the championship. There's the checkered flag for Alan. He's the champion for 92.
Kulwicki's underfunded single-car team had done it in dramatic fashion. Another season with a lot of storylines was the 2011 Sprint Cup Series season. The year started with a bang when 20-year-old Trevor Bayne became the youngest winner in the history of the Daytona 500. Jeff Gordon would start off hot with a win at Phoenix, and Carl Edwards would win at Las Vegas.
Round turn 3 and into 4. Stewart packed it in there, but Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards gives Ford its 4th win in the last 5 races. Edwards wins the Cobalt Tools 400.
Heading into the All-Star break, Edwards was still first in the point standings. He would win the All-Star race, and although the race didn't count for any points, it was a big momentum builder for the 99 team. Oh, and did I forget to mention that he won $1 million and tore his car up doing a burnout? Kevin Harvick would win the Coke 600 the following week, after Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran out of fuel in the final corner, and for the meantime, it seemed like the season was going to be a battle between Edwards and Harvick. Edwards only had 1 win, but a lot of consistent finishes, while Harvick had already accumulated 3 wins after the Coke 600. As the summer wore on, Harvick would fall to 5th in the standings, and Jimmie Johnson was looking to get his 6th championship in a row as he closed in on Edwards heading into the chase. Way down at the bottom was Tony Stewart, who made it in by 23 points. His year had been full of inconsistency, and he had this to say in August.
If we're going to run this bad, it really doesn't matter whether we make the chase or not, because we're going to be occupying a spot in the chase that somebody else that actually can run for a championship is going to be trying to take, because our stuff's so bad right now that we're wasting one of those top 12 spots right now.
As the points reset, Edwards was clearly the favorite going into Chicagoland. The first race of the chase came down to fuel mileage, and Stewart was able to pull it off.
Half a lap to go. Now Gordon's out of fuel.
All clear. Keep coming.
You'll see Gordon there. Matt Kenseth, Jimmie Johnson, all slowing out of gas. Tony Stewart, the fuel holds up. Tony Stewart opens the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with his first win of the season.
The following week at New Hampshire, Stewart did it again, and in the exact same fashion.
And Stewart is stalking. Report from pit road. Boyer is questioning whether he's running out of fuel. Here comes Stewart.
Yeah, there it is. He's out.
Stewart to the lead. 2 laps to go. 2 wins in a row to start the chase.
Way to go.
Tony Stewart wins at New Hampshire.
Kevin Harvick was back in second, and Edwards had fallen all the way to 4th in the point standings. But at Dover, Stewart would finish 25th and then 15th at Kansas the following week. During this stretch, Stewart fell all the way down to 5th in the standings, and Carl Edwards jumped up to 1st. Edwards was clearly the favorite as they went into the last 4 races of the year. As Martinsville rolled around, Stewart needed a win as he was 4th in the standings and 19 points behind Edwards.
Stewart, Johnson, Gordon. Will there be a bump and run? He's going to try it. Johnson gets there, but not enough. Tony Stewart wins at Martinsville.
The next week at Texas, Stewart would win back-to-back for the second time in the chase. Neither driver would score a win at Phoenix, resulting in Carl Edwards entering Homestead with a 3-point lead on Tony Stewart. Edwards started on the pole, and Tony all the way back in row 8. The problem started early for Stewart as he had something hit his grill and had to go down pit road and drop to the back on lap 16.
You see the 14 team of Tony Stewart feverishly working on the front of their car. Stewart has hit something and it has put a big hole in the front of the grill, although Tony indicated he did not recall hitting anything at all, said he didn't feel as though he had hit any debris, but there's a hole about twice the size of a man's fist there in the front. So they're replacing the fencing part of the grill, which they also have to double check and make sure there's no debris inside the grill areas.
Stewart would fight his way up through the field and was a man on a mission, pulling off impressive passes.
He made that inside work. He was able to stay in the throttle and nobody held him back that time. We lost a couple spots last time we tried that. And the gas hard here though.
3 wide right in front of them. How about 4 wide? Stewart to the bottom.
Wow.
He's sure not being conservative.
At the end of the day, strategy came into play, and Stewart ended up having fresher tires than Edwards, who still ran in second. Stewart would win the race, but tie Edwards in the point standings. He would ultimately win the championship due to being ahead of Edwards in the finishing order.
This is just the most incredible run I've ever seen out of a race car driver, what Tony Stewart has done in this chase and tonight.
Yeah, I think it's the best driving I've ever seen, and Carl Edwards did an incredible job too, but this is the man right here, Tony Stewart.
2002, he was the champion. 2005, he was the champion, those driving for someone else. This time, he's an older driver, and he's going to become a three-time NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. Tony Stewart wins it.
A year later, another epic points battle would take place during the chase. Greg Biffle would lead the points after the Coke 600 in Edwards fashion by putting up consistent finishes. Daytona 500 winner Matt Kenseth would find himself in second, trailing his teammate in the standings. Brad Keselowski would have 2 wins under his belt, but inconsistent finishes plagued the Penske driver. As the summer months wore on, an even bigger storyline began to unfold. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was in the point lead after the Brickyard 400. The 88 team was on a roll after a monumental win at Michigan earlier in the year, snapping a 4-year winless streak. His teammate Jimmie Johnson was also hot, winning at Darlington, Dover, and the Brickyard 400.
As Johnson clears the final corner and the checkered flag is in the air, a 4th win in the Brickyard 400 to Jimmie Johnson.
Bad finishes and luck seemed to follow the 48, but if they got things figured out, they would be a force to be reckoned with. As the chase started, Brad Keselowski opened with a win at Chicagoland. He would back this win up 2 weeks later with a win at Dover. The Blue Deuce had a 5-point cushion over Jimmie Johnson, but things were just starting to heat up. Keselowski would maintain his lead heading into Martinsville, but then things would not look good for the two. Johnson would get a grandfather clock at the paperclip, and an epic battle between Keselowski and Johnson would take place the following week at Texas.
Whoa, hang on!
Loose. Wow.
It is going at it for the race lead. The top 2 in the championship, clanging off each other. Nobody giving ground.
Corner tight, clear. Clear 1, 2 back to the 18. 2 back, 18.
Well, I don't know how he came as hard off of turn 4 after being so loose down the middle of turn 3.
It's going to be Keselowski finishing second behind his rival for the championship. Back-to-back wins for the 5-time champ. Jimmie Johnson scores at Texas.
The 5-time champ was looking to make it 6 after back-to-back wins, and with Keselowski's inexperience in the Cup Series, many were writing him off. But as Keselowski was in the lead at Phoenix, Johnson's bad luck continued.
48 is into the wall, Vince. Jimmie Johnson has hit the wall.
Go ahead and wheel it around here, buddy. We'll get some new tires on there. We'll take a look at it.
You know, once again, that worst possible spot, this tire's going to let go, coming full bore out of turn 4. Hard hit.
That's exactly where we saw, I guess it was Gilliland, did the same thing, right, same spot.
Just want to mention, as Brad took the lead, that opened it up to where he was the leader in points by 3. But that is obviously going to be much greater before this day is over, as long as Brad doesn't have any problems.
Johnson would need a miracle at Miami if he wanted to win the championship. But then all eyes turned to Clint Bowyer, who was 3rd in the standings and still had a chance if something were to happen to Keselowski. After forcing Jeff Gordon up into the wall, chaos resulted for Bowyer at Phoenix.
Where is he? I'm getting this. He's in the middle with 3 and 4. Straight away from catching this 24. He's probably looking for you. What did he do? I mean, I just barely accidentally touched him. He's waiting on you when you get there.
Jeff Gordon, who gets into Clint Bowyer?
Better follow me, boy. That was a real act of a champion. You okay there? Hey, where is that son of a... I'm not kill him. That's fine with me. I hope Bowyer beats the out of him. Oh, man, it's a huge fight now. Hey, who's fighting? Holy smokes. Bedlam has broke out here in Phoenix. See a TV, man? Bowyer's running there. He's running down the racetrack. I don't know where he's at. I mean, he's running down pit road. Don't let him do nothing stupid.
During the 2012 Ford EcoBoost 400, Johnson would try a last-ditch effort to win the championship on strategy, but ended up having a mechanical failure that would cost him the race.
Jimmie Johnson is off the pace, and Jimmie Johnson is on the apron on the access road to the inside. Look at the smoke inside the car. And no, that's not coming out of Jimmie's ears.
I thought I saw something coming out of the back of the right rear of the car, but I thought maybe it was sand coming up off the track because it was running really high, but it must be something else. Doc?
They're thinking it's a drivetrain problem. They're looking under the car. They got a vibration, something rubbing, and they said maybe it's a drivetrain coming through the firewall. The smoke got worse. Now Jimmie has shut the engine off, fired it back up. And apparently they are done. And the championship for 2012 will not go to Jimmie Johnson.
After what has been, it's fair to say, one of the more tumultuous weeks of his storied NASCAR Sprint Cup career, checkered flag and a win at Homestead for Jeff Gordon.
I'm proud of you guys. That was awesome.
And the checkered flag and a NASCAR Sprint Cup championship for Penske Racing and Michigan's Brad Keselowski.
We did it, boys. We did it. Great job. What an awesome season.
Brad Keselowski would win the 2012 Sprint Cup Series championship in another wild battle to the last race. 2004 introduced the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup and produced another big Daytona 500 winner. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would win the 500 and would also win at Atlanta 3 weeks later, taking early control of the championship hunt. As June rolled around, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would find himself with a slight lead over Jimmie Johnson, with Matt Kenseth over 100 points behind the two. Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr., and Jimmie Johnson would dominate the regular season, trading the first 3 places in the point standings pretty much all year during the summer. As the first chase started, the points reset, and since Jeff Gordon won the regular season championship, he would start with 5,050 points. Jimmie Johnson was in second with 5,045, and so on. Kurt Busch would win at Loudon, tying Dale Jr. for the point lead. After Kansas rolled around, Jimmie Johnson would do something that very few have done: win 3 races in a row. He would win at Charlotte, Martinsville, and Atlanta.
Car can't go. This could be 3 in a row for that 48 car.
Buddy, come on. Bring it home. Bring it home. Jimmie, don't do any burnouts, buddy.
The emotions of the victory for Jimmie Johnson. He wins in Atlanta for Hendrick Motorsports.
That's good stuff.
Still, Kurt Busch led the standings, and through the first 7 races of the chase, had only 1 finish outside of the top 6. Entering Homestead, the standings would remain the same, with Kurt Busch having a slight edge over Jimmie Johnson. Much like Atlanta in 1992, 5 drivers had a mathematical shot to win the championship. Kurt Busch would win the pole, and Jimmie Johnson would start from deep in the pack. Jeff Gordon started from row 3, which made things interesting since he was 3rd in the standings. As Kurt Busch was running up front, trying to run away with the championship, a flat tire would nearly cost him the race.
Trouble here at Homestead for the championship leader, Kurt Busch.
Right front flat, you heard it from the man, Kurt Busch.
And he's on the apron of the racetrack, Kurt. Not too fast because you can't control it. Bill?
Spotter tells the crew coming to you just as fast as you can blink your eye.
Oh, and he loosens the wheel. Wow. Or loosens the tire.
And he just missed clobbering the end of that wall.
That's going to be a caution. That's actually good luck for him.
Long way to go, though, to get to his pit stall, the number 1 stall, all the way at the end of pit road. They are ready for him. They are on the wall.
That's the wheel in there, isn't it?
Did the lug nuts come off?
It looks like the whole wheel came off.
And they're grinding that suspension, dragging it down the pit lane while he's running there.
Let's see what comes off. The center. There's the center. He just took off of the wheel. Watch how close he gets to the entrance pit wall here. Wheel leads right here.
What was it? A foot? No more than a foot.
I would say inches on that one.
I'll bet the under there.
The crash nearly took him out of championship contention and resulted in him falling all the way down to 3rd in the standings as they ran. But the pole sitter was too strong for the Hendrick Motorsports cars, and Kurt Busch would make his way up to 5th place, which was enough to win him the championship.
Kurt Busch in 5th and trying to hang on to that spot. If he stays there, he wins the title.
You may see a Hail Mary here by the 20 car, right on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon. Don't think he can do it.
Checkered flag is up. Greg Biffle wins the Ford 400 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon finish 2nd and 3rd. It's not going to be enough. Kurt Busch is the 2004 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series champion.
Hey, what is up, guys? It is KKB. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video on NASCAR's greatest points battles. And if you did, make sure to give me some suggestions down in the comment section down below for future uploads. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting my channel, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video.